I remember her saying I had to look up why in the Greek, in the Hebrew, whatever. Tell about that.
Well, I had to because I was building my own prison of questions.
Yeah.
Every day I would get up and say, God, I would have given you back every miracle you've done, and He's done so many in my life. I would have given every one of them back for this one, and I never, we so believed she would live that we didn't embalm her because we expected her to come out of the casket. Our son put a jiggle doll, you know those little jiggle dolls, when you move them, they make noise,
So that
inside the casket, jibber jabber dolls, that's right. So that when she awakened inside the casket, we would hear the doll jibber jabber. We had such faith she would live. It was so hard to accept the why.
Yeah.
You would ask why, and then there would be nothing that
Made sense.
nothing that satisfied, nothing that made you feel any better. And so then you would ask why again. And after 9 months, I asked why. And I asked why, and I asked why. And then I got to the point, I know why has no answer that's going to make me feel better. So then I would ask, why am I asking why? I couldn't stop myself. It was this prison. And every time I would ask why, it put another brick in this isolated prison around myself to where all I could see were these questions. And so God spoke to me. I'm washing dishes. And why did she have to go to heaven? Why am I still here? That was my big question.
Yeah.
And He said, I want you to go look that word up. And I knew that wasn't Webster's. He wanted me to go look it up in the Hebrew. I love the Hebrew. I love what the Torah was written in. I love the ancient Hebrew. It means so much more than our watered down English language. And so as I began to search for the word why, I actually discovered all 6 questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. There are only 6 questions in our entire language. I found these questions in the Hebrew, and each one had only one common symbol, or we would call it letter, one common symbol in it. And it was the symbol for chaos. And I realized that the more questions you ask, the more chaos you create in your own world. You're trying to get out of chaos, and yet your own mind is creating this hurricane of chaos.
Trying to find the answer.
Trying to find
we will not
peace.
understand it here on earth.
You're trying to find peace, and you're creating your own chaos. And when I saw that, I realized 6, of course, the number for man. And I take this to the Father, and I'm like, God, I realize now what I'm doing. I still don't know how to stop asking why. If I could stop, I would have already stopped by now. But my mind keeps circling back around to, but why? Why did she have to go? Why couldn't it have been somebody old? Why did she have to suffer? Why did I have to experience it? Why does my children have to experience it? Why does my husband have to go through all? Why? And the whys just become never ending. It's an infinite arrow in the end. And the Lord said to me, you're a mom. And when your children ask you why, what do you say? And I said, well, I'm this great mother. I get down on my knees, and I get eyeball to eyeball, and I give them these long explanations. And he says, and then what do they say? And I said, well, they say, but why? And I said, and I go through the whole thing again, and they say, but why? And he said, and eventually, what do you say when they cannot understand? And I said, because I said so. They can't understand. And he said, because I said so, you can't understand. The secret things belong to the Lord. And you're on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know. And then he said, and this is what changed me. He said, you have lived your life by faith. Your whole life has been one long walk of faith, from the beginning to now. And he says, I'm calling you up to a higher level of living. I'm calling you to live in a level called trust. You're going to have to trust me when you don't know. You're going to have to trust me when there are no answers. I am a spirit and truth God, and you're asking me flesh questions. These are flesh questions. Your spirit is not crying why. Your flesh is crying why. And I'm spirit, I'm truth. I can't satisfy flesh. You've got to learn to trust me. And I just began a journey that I've been on for 20 years, saying, Lord, I trust you. I don't have to understand to know that you know. And I can just put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving. And that stopped me from building the prison. I can't say it stopped me from never asking. Because I have those moments when I just want to have a pity party. And I ask again and know before I ask that there's going to be no answer. And I think the difference for a lot of people with grief, we had to grieve in front of everybody because we were public figures. And when you're a public figure, you can't hide the fact your daughter died. You got to deal with it, and people are watching, and people are well-meaning, and then some are not. And people can be cruel, and you've just got to learn to trust God and keep moving and not stop. I wanted to stop.
Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe today and you'll never miss a new upload. Thanks for being a part of our Better Together community.